Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Oriane, and here I talk about my career and professional journey in finance, public accounting, and the corporate world, and really any tips and tricks that I can share to help you navigate your adulthood, your corporate career, your finance career, your accounting career. I've done videos on how to get an internship. I've done videos on how to get a full-time job. I have interviewing tips and tricks, day in my life as an auditor working in public accounting. So I share a little bit about just myself, and I hope that that would help you or anyone out there that needs a representation of what it feels like to be a Black professional in my field, and really a Black female professional, because there's not a lot of us, right? In a lot of rooms, you know, I tend to be the only Black female professional. Sometimes it's the only Black professional, sometimes it's the only female professional, and most of the time it's the only Black female professional. So I want to make sure that I motivate people out there that are considering a career in that field, and that, you know, I just help other people that are already in that field but that are trying to find their voice, that are trying to affirm themselves. So I really hope that this is an outlet for you to kind of see that. So this video today is going to be about the Reg exam. So a couple of videos back, I have introduced my CPA exam journey. The first couple of videos were about my CPA story, when I started it, when I finished it. I did also a video on my why I wanted to become a CPA, the reasons why, and why it's really important to know your why in everything that you do in life. You want to make sure that there's a reason why, right? You're not doing things for no reason. You want to have a strong why, because your why is what gets you going and keeps you going when it becomes hard. I've also done a video on my FAR CPA exam. I took FAR as my first exam, and I took Reg second. So I did FAR, Reg, Audit, and BEC. So I've already talked about FAR, so if you haven't seen that video yet, please go. I share all of my strengths and my weaknesses, how long it took me to take the exam, my score, and really everything in between, like my study tips and things like that. So today we're gonna talk about Reg. So as I said before, Reg is the second exam that I took. I started my CPA exam journey in January. So I studied for FAR from January to April. Then I did Reg from April to June, I believe. And you know, that's where I took Reg. So just to kind of give you an idea of what Reg is about. So Reg is ethics, professional responsibilities, and federal tax procedures. So it's all about taxation law, right? You have business law, federal taxation of property transactions. That was one of my weaknesses. Federal taxation of individuals. That makes a little more sense because I felt like it was more relatable. And you have federal taxation of entities, which, you know, gets complicated as well. So regulation, it's all about taxes. My kind of experience studying for Reg was different from my experience studying for FAR. So if you haven't watched my FAR video, go check it out. But for Reg, I had a little booklet of formulas that I was reviewing every single day, because some of the formulas can be very long. Some of them, they look very similar. So for example, when I said you have federal taxation of property transactions, you have federal taxation of individuals, and you have federal taxation of entities. So you have C Corp and S Corp and partnerships and all of that. And sometimes all of the formulas, like, there's only one thing that changes between, like, for example, it's not true because I don't remember on top of my head right now, right? But it can be, you can like find that there's a very small difference between the formulas to calculate something for C Corp and to calculate something for S Corp. Like, it's really plays at the very smallest detail, right? So for Reg, I really recommend keeping a notebook of your formulas that you review all the time. Disclaimer, to study for Reg, I've used Becker. Again, I've used Becker for my entire CPA preparation from beginning to end. And for the Reg exam in Becker, they have 8 modules. So for FAR, they have 10, and for regulation, they have 8. And so it's 8 modules, and it's broken down by chapters. And let me go back to my Reg preparation schedule to kind of give you an idea of how I studied for that. So, for example, Regulation 1, so the first regulation module in Becker, has 6 lectures. And the way I prepare for each of my exam was very similar. The first 2 days are just lectures. So I would go through all of the lectures on Monday and Tuesday. On Wednesday and Thursday, I would go through all of the questions. So the skill practice and the multiple choice questions. And then on Friday, I'll catch up and review everything that I've learned for the week. I will write down all of my strengths and my weaknesses for each chapter. And then I will do like an overall multiple choice questions of all of the chapters that I've learned. So for example, for Regulation 1 has 6 chapters. I would put together, like, I would do a quiz of like maybe 50 questions with all of the 6 chapters all mixed up together, to make sure that I really understand it. So that would be on Friday. Then on Saturday, I would do all of the simulations. Again, the simulations are simulation of real life problems that you would get. They might give you a 10K, they might give you, an income statement or something like that. And they will tell you to, prepare something, right? Prepare a tax form of some company, and things like that. So I will do all of the simulations on Saturday. And then I would review all of my weaknesses again for the week, write them down, write all of the formulas that are complicated, write everything that just doesn't make sense. And then on Sunday, I would do another progress test. So again, progress tests are a test of everything that you've learned so far from beginning to end. Again, review your weaknesses. I say that a lot because it's really important to review your weaknesses instead of just brushing them off and thinking that, oh, I'm gonna come back to it later, which is a big mistake that people tend to make. Then I will also make a summary notes of all of the chapters, something that's quick and easy to read. So when I was taking my CPA exams, I was working full-time. So I would take 1 week each for each module. So it took me 8 weeks total, so 2 months, to learn all of the material. And then I took 2 weeks of review. So week 9 was review of everything. Then I would take a mock exam on the weekend. And then week 10 would be again all review, and I'll take an exam, a mock exam at the end. And then the 3rd week, I would take my actual exam. So that's how I used to schedule my exams, because that was what was realistic for me to do based on my schedule at work. I was traveling a lot for work. So overall, it took me 8 plus 2. It took me 10 weeks. It took me 10 weeks of studying before I took the regulation exam. But I would say that if you are in a crunch for time, you can definitely do reg in like 4 to 5 weeks. Like, you could definitely study it within like 4 to 5 weeks of intense preparation. And the way you would do that really is to skip the lectures, because the Becker lectures tend to be very long. And then, sometimes you just need to read the book by yourself and, be able to understand it. Because as I said again, regulation is a lot of formulas that, you don't necessarily need people to explain to you, versus FAR, it was a lot of problems, like you need somebody to walk you through it. Regulation, it's more like you have the problems, you have all of the information in the problems, there's a formula, just use the formula. The lectures, you don't need to spend that much time there, as well as the simulations, so preparation of a tax form and things like that. Maybe you do it once or twice, but it's not something that you need to consistently do, because when you get to the exam, it's gonna be very different from whatever you study, right? So if you have less time, I would say for regulation, spend a lot of time on the multiple choice questions. Like, wake up, do 100, go to the bathroom, do 100 questions, go for a walk, do another 100 questions. Like, the multiple choice questions, I think for regulation, is the key to passing with success. So the regulation exam has 76 multiple choice questions broken down into two testlets. So the first testlet you have 38 questions, the second testlet you have 38 questions, then the third testlet you have 2 task-based simulations, then you get a 15-minute break, then your fourth testlet you have 3 task-based simulations, and then your last testlet you have 3 task-based simulations. Also, something that I wanted to point out for regulation is that you can use the authoritative literature, AL. I'm gonna put it on the screen. Authoritative literature. That's also another reason why you might not need to spend that much time in lectures and simulations. It's because for the regulation exam, you have the tax law, right? You have the tax literature that's available for you to use. So something that I would spend more time, like some time doing, is to know how to research the tax law. Like you want to practice going into the tax law, like looking for a word and see the law that comes in, right? You want to be very fast at that. Because at the same time, you don't want to have a question and spend 15 minutes looking for the answer in the tax literature, because that would just be a waste of your time. Remember, you have 4 hours to go through 76 multiple choice questions, which means that you have to spend about 1.25 minutes per question. But again, you have access to the authoritative literature. So if for some reason you don't remember formula, or you don't remember law, or you don't remember, you can quickly go in, look for it, and then come back to the answer. And as always, my big kind of recommendation when you study all of the CPA exams, right, is review, review, review. Like, I don't know how I can even make it more clear. Like, if there is, I can just put it on the screen. Review, review. It's so easy to forget the things that you've learned on the first day. There's so much material. Regulation has the most questions of all of the CPA exam. It has 76. I think FAR had like, I don't know, 72 or 60 something. But regulation has 76. So there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of material, there's a lot of things for you to remember. So when you learn something, you don't want to forget it. Review, review, review. I mentioned it in my last video, but I'm going to mention it here as well. I have a study plan, a study tracker that I put day by day of my journey of studying for the exam. So it goes by day, and you can see, you know, on Monday, this is what you need to study. Again, according to Becker. On Tuesday, this is what you need to study. On Wednesday, this is what you need to study. So this help you go through my entire journey day by day of how I studied. It tells you what I did in the morning, what I did during lunch, and what I did in the evening. It tells you even things that I did in the bus. Like I did flashcards in the bus when we could still actually go to the office. So it really, you know, goes in a lot of details. And you can download that. I'll put the link in the description box below. I added like quick tips and pro tip of the things that I was doing, at which week I was doing them, and things that you need to keep in mind. I've also added my weaknesses for each module according to Becker. So for example, in Regulation 1, my weakness was QBI, deduction calculation, and non-qualified option versus ISO versus ESPP. For example, Regulation 2, my weakness was deductions from and deduction for AGI. Another weakness of mine for Regulation 2 was the capital loss versus passive losses versus ordinary losses for individuals. And sometimes, you know, it was just very confusing for me. So I give you really everything that I can potentially put together for you. That is not, of course, non-confidential, right? My plan is very detailed, and it's just for me, it just gives you everything that you need to know in order to sit down, study, and pass this exam. Again, I passed all of the CPA exams at the first try, thankfully. It was a lot of stress. I really put my everything into the exams. I didn't take any shortcuts. I studied for however long I felt comfortable studying for. And for me, it was 1 week per module. So if an exam has 6 modules, I'm taking 6 weeks to study. Even if I know I can study in less time, I'm not taking any chances. I just put in the work, and I was like, if I put in the work, I will get the results. And, you know, that's kind of what happened. It worked. So to everybody that's out there that's thinking about studying for the CPA exams, or that is in the process of studying for the CPA exams, don't take any shortcuts. Just put your all in. Put your 100%, put your 1000% in, and do it so that you don't have to go through the process again, because it's painful. It's painful. It takes time. If you go and watch my why video, I said that I was always tired. Like 2019, I was a walking zombie. Like, I was always tired. I lacked sleep. So keep that in mind as you study for it. It's painful. It's gonna be annoying. But when you put everything into it the first time, it works. And last but not least, I will tell you my score for regulation. So if you want to see my FAR score, go to my last video where I tell you my score at the end of the video. But my regulation score was it was not my best. My best score was BEC. My regulation score was my second best score. And I got a 91. I got a 91 for regulation. I took it on June 10. So yeah, my FAR score was my worst score. So my FAR score was my worst score. Then my audit score was a little bit above my FAR score. Then my regulation score 91, and then my BEC score was my best score. So go watch all of my videos and go to the end of the video if you want to see my score. But I got a 91, and man, I was so happy. Like the joy for FAR. When I left the FAR testing center, I cried and I called my mom. And I told my mom I did not pass this. And she was like, no, you did. And I was like, I'm telling you, I did not. So when I got my FAR score, I was very shocked and very happy. And I was like, oh my God, I got this. But my regulation score, after the regulation exam, I felt great. I was like, yeah, I don't want to jinx it, but this was very good. And then I got a 91, and I was like, well, great. You know, the way you pass a CPA exam is learning, questions, review. Learning, questions, review before you move on to the next one. And as you move on to the next one, you keep reviewing everything that you learned the first weeks. Don't forget to review. If it has to get to a point where when you see me, all you think about is review, then be it. I will be happy that I've done something. This is the end of the video. I hope you like it. I hope it motivates you. I hope that as you go through this process, you know, this brings a little perspective as to how you might want to do things differently, gives you a perspective of how you might want to do things for yourself. But if you have any questions at all, please let me know in the comment section below. I'm here. I want to answer. I want to help you. Remember, if there's only one person that can do it, it's you. But yeah, so that's the end of the video. My next video is gonna be on audit. Wasn't that big of a deal. It's a lot of reading, so it gets boring. It gets dry very quickly. Like, you're gonna read the book until you fall asleep, right? But that's gonna be my next video. So I hope that so far you're enjoying the CPA series. I'm having a lot of time. I'm having a lot of fun filming it and kind of like remembering all of the things that I've done. So yeah, I'll see you in my next video. So until then, stay safe and take care. Like, subscribe, share my videos, because I really want these to reach the people that most need it, the people that needs to see it, the people that needs to see, you know, black people doing it out there, the people that need to see black female professionals out there. Please, please, please share. Send it to your little brothers, send it to your little sisters, send it to your cousins and your aunts, and really whoever you think this might motivate. Yeah, so that's it for today. I hope that you guys are gonna have a great rest of your week, or a great rest of your day, or a great rest of whatever or wherever you are when you're watching this, and I love you guys. Bye.